Hi, I'm Brenda Workman. Welcome to my kitchen. Years ago, when my doctor recommended a plant-based diet to me, it was brand new. I had to figure it out. He recommended it because I had high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and he was trying to help me improve my health. And I was ready. I was ready to do it. I didn't want to age with a poor quality of life, and I wanted things to get better. I didn't want to have to be on meds. If I didn't have to be on meds, I wanted to do my part. But it was a learning curve. I'm an Appalachian girl, grew up on biscuits and gravy, meat at every meal. This was very different for me. So I had to do a lot of research. And I just want to share with you 4 steps that I feel like helped me make this a lifestyle. Because you have to understand that I was a yo-yo dieter for decades of my adult life. I would go on a diet with the intention of mostly to lose weight. And then within about, 6 to 8 weeks, I would feel deprived, go off my diet, start binge eating, mostly on high fat, high sugar foods. And then I would stay off of my diet for weeks and weeks and end up gaining back everything that I'd lost. And then I would feel very depressed. I would feel like I have failed. I have no discipline. I would feel so badly about myself, and I felt like it was my discipline. I didn't have discipline. And I would, get back on my diet again, only to the same thing to happen again. I would 6, 8 weeks down the line, I'd feel deprived. I'd go off my diet. I'd start binge eating. It would last for weeks. I would gain the weight back. And this typically happened sometimes as many as 3 times in the course of a year. So I kept all different sizes in my closet because I didn't know what size I was going to be wearing depending on what was going on in my diet. So when my doctor recommended a plant-based diet, there were some things that were different. And I've been able now at the taping of this video to do this for right at 5 years so far. And the yo-yo dieting has come to an end. And I never dreamed that that would ever happen to me. I had come to the conclusion that I was just going to be an overweight person the rest of my life, and I was going to have poor health, and I might as well just accept it and be happy. But I could not be happy. I wanted it to be different. So here's the 4 things. I want to share this with you that I feel like made the difference this time. The first one was my mindset. My mindset when I left the doctor's office was not, okay, I'm going to try this new diet that the diet doctor is recommending, and I'm going to try to lose as much weight as possible. It wasn't about weight loss anymore. It was now about my health. Yes, I wanted to lose weight. Yes, for my health, I needed to lose weight. But it was more about, how can I get my cholesterol down? How can I get my blood pressure down? How can I become a healthier person? So I feel like that mindset set me up to make this a lifestyle. I was going to do everything that I could to improve my health. And so I did weigh regularly, and I did want to lose, and the weight loss came very slowly. The first year it was 40 pounds I lost. The second year it was 20 pounds. So it came very slowly, but what I wanted to see was my lab numbers. I wanted to see my blood pressure next time I went to the doctor. I wanted to watch the doctor decrease my meds, which he did, and over time he finally discontinued my cholesterol meds and my blood pressure meds. So that's what I wanted to see, and that's where my mindset was. It was now about my health. In fact, I'll share very quickly with you that I had about 3 weeks in, I had a temptation that came. I had a tendency, I told you high fat, high sugar foods were my weakness. I had a tendency when I had a bad day, instead of stopping by the bar like some people do, I stopped by Dairy Queen when I would have a bad day and just kind of drown my sorrows in the biggest dessert that I could get there. And I was on my way home from work, and I'd had a bad day, and I thought, I am going by Dairy Queen. And so I had this little conversation going on in the car with myself, and I told myself, Brenda, is that really what you want to do? It's not about being on a diet for weight loss anymore. And oh, I'll go off my diet and get back on it later. We're talking about your health, and we're talking about your arteries, and we're talking about your heart, and we're talking about your kidneys, and we're talking about doing things to improve your health now. So I'm talking to myself. I drive past Dairy Queen, I get home, and I have to admit, I felt sad for a while because I really wanted that big dessert from Dairy Queen. But after a couple of hours, I realized this is what I really want. I really want control over my food and control over my health. And I want to age with a good quality of life. So that temptation never happened again. I never was tempted to stop at Dairy Queen again. I think I just resolved myself that day that this was more important. So mindset to me is number one. You got to have a mindset of, okay, I'm going to make this a lifestyle. And my reasoning is because I want to improve my health. I want to have good health. And I think that will make all the difference in the world. Number two is I did a lot of research for myself. My doctor obviously was a believer in plant-based eating because he suggested it. He had done a lot of research. So every time I was around him, I was very encouraged by him, and he would tell me things that he was learning. But I did research for myself. I started following a lot of plant-based doctors that I felt were credentialed. I watched documentaries like Forks Over Knives was one of the very first ones that I watched. Forks Over Knives also has a website, and I would go on that website and print off success stories. There's all kinds of success stories on there, but I would print off the ones that were similar to me, maybe an older woman, maybe she had high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and she was successful on a plant-based diet. I'd print those off. They were great encouragement to me in those early years. Forks Over Knives also has an app that you can get on your phone that gives you lots of breakfast ideas, lunch ideas, dinner ideas, snack ideas, dessert ideas. Like, it's just full of good information. And I took a cooking course actually through Forks Over Knives that was all about cooking the plant-based way. It was a legit culinary course and very informative, gave me a lot of confidence in my cooking at the beginning. So I just kept searching, and Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, PCRM.org, has a lot of good stuff on their website. They have a podcast called the Exam Room Podcast. Shout out to Chuck Carroll, the weight loss champion, who is the host of that show. And I would listen to that and listen to the doctors there, listen to people tell their success stories. That was quite an encouragement. Dr. Dean Ornish was another one that I listened to a lot and read his books. I would watch a lot of cooking demos. So I like to watch people. It was mostly women. Now you see more men and women doing this. Sometimes you see a husband and wife team doing cooking demos. But Chef AJ was one that I watched at the beginning. There's one called the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show. And I would watch that. Plantiful Kiki, I've watched several of her cooking demos. Jane and Ann Esselstyn do mother-daughter do cooking shows. I've probably watched 100 episodes of them cooking something. So it just helped to watch people make plant-based meals, and maybe I would print off the recipe and try it. I bought some cookbooks, obviously, so I could try different things. So I had to educate myself. And, we do that in other areas. If we start, let's say there's a repair in our house that needs to be done, and we know we need to take care of it quickly, we start looking on YouTube, and we start trying to get advice from people, and we try to do everything we can to educate ourselves so we can fix that problem. Well, my problem was poor health, and so I was reaching out mostly on the internet, some documentaries, some books, some cookbooks, just to educate myself on how do I do this? How do I make this a lifestyle? And I learned so much. So that was the second step that I feel like was very important, is that I spent a lot of time educating myself because it was important to me. The third step that I took at the very beginning was I asked for support from my family and my friends. I let them know what I was doing. I didn't try to hide it from anybody. And at the beginning, my family kind of joked with me, making some sarcastic remarks in a loving way. They weren't trying to be mean, but they would make some remarks. And finally, I said, guys, I want this to be a lifestyle. So if I want to be this way from now on, you guys need to stop with the jokes and just accept me for who I am. And over time, it became my identity, who I am. So when I go to visit my kids who live in another state, they text me and say, Mom, what can we get for you from the grocery store to have on hand so that you can fix some meals before you go to the grocery store once you get here? Or sometimes they will even say, Mom, I went ahead and bought oats for you and I got some plant milk, and they tell me what they bought already to try to help me in my health journey. If we're going to go out to eat, they'll say, hey, we checked out the restaurants and we thought this had some good plant-based options. You want to look at it and see what you think. My husband, love his heart, he has catered to me when it comes to places that we eat where I can get the things that I feel like is better for my health. So they've been very supportive, but I had to be the one to say, hey, I'm very serious about this. I want my health to improve. Will you support me in this? And so my friends and my family have been very supportive, and that has been very helpful. The last step I feel like really, really, really made a difference. And that was, I didn't just stick my toe into plant-based eating. And I know some people feel like they have to do it that way. They just say, okay, I'm going to start doing meatless Mondays and see how it goes. Or I'm going to just do all my breakfasts as plant-based, and then we'll just see how that goes. And I'm going to start incorporating some of these plant-based recipes, but I'm not going 100%. And, a little bit is better than none at all, for sure. But for me personally, because I jumped in, I didn't just stick my toe in, I jumped in and I told myself, I'm not eating anything if it's not plant-based. I'm going to go with this whole food plant-based diet my doctor recommended. Because I did that, I feel like, number one, I think my results were quicker because I did that. And when I would see the results, I was fired up. I was like, wow, he just decreased my blood pressure meds. Wow, he just cut my cholesterol meds in half. This is so exciting. Wow, I've lost 20 pounds already. And, I began to see the results very quickly, and I know it was because I went 100%. Now, did I make mistakes along the way? Absolutely. Sometimes I would eat at restaurants and realize later that what I ordered was not plant-based like I thought it was. Maybe it had meat in it when it was cooked, or, whatever, eggs in it, whatever. Even now, sometimes I make mistakes, but less likely to make mistakes now as I did at the beginning. But my attitude, again, going back to the mindset, my attitude was, I'm all in. Like, I'm going to make this a lifestyle. I had that kind of attitude, and I was ready just to jump in full force. And I think that was very, very helpful. So over time, I have just learned to love the food. It didn't take long. I always was a food lover anyway. I especially liked high fat, high sugar foods. And now I substitute that with my plant-based desserts that I make. If I get in the mood for something sweet, then I'll make pumpkin muffins, or I make these little brownie bites. And there's just some pumpkin, this banana bread that I make that's delicious. There's just so many things. Pumpkin pie with a cashew cream sauce. Like, I can find sweet things to make. And I love the soups, I love the salads, I love the main dishes. Like, I can take all of these plants, whether it be grains or beans or veggies or fruit, seeds, nuts, whatever, and put them together in recipes, and I absolutely love the food. So because of that, I feel very satisfied, and that has helped a lot. I don't feel that deprived feeling that I felt when I was dieting in the past. I feel very much like, you know what, I can do this for a lifetime. I love this. It tastes so good. And not only does it taste good, but after I eat, I'm not lethargic and sick. My body actually feels good. I'm nourishing my body, and that makes me feel good as well. So, as I said, as a result, I was able to get off of my blood pressure meds, off of my cholesterol meds, and drop 60 pounds. And the yo-yo dieting came to an end, and I have so much more energy now than I had in the past, and that makes a world of difference to me. I'm so grateful for my doctor, who, number one, educated himself, and then number two, was willing to take the time to talk to me about it. And then every time I went back, he was very encouraging and just, good job, Brenda, you're doing a great job. And even now, every once in a while, he's no longer my doctor because he started working with veterans, and so I lost him as my doctor, which was very sad. But he's in the same town, and occasionally I'll run into him, and he says, great job, Brenda, for sharing the message of plant-based eating. So he's been my number one supporter, and I'm so grateful. So what I want to say to you today is, these are 4 steps that were helpful to me in switching to a plant-based diet and making it a lifestyle. I believe that you can do it too. I really do. And I think these 4 steps will be helpful to you in transitioning and switching, because we don't want it to be a diet. I didn't want another diet. I've been there, done that. I wanted it to be a lifestyle, and I've been able to make this a lifestyle, and you can too. So I hope these steps were helpful to you today. I want to encourage you along the way in your plant-based journey. Just remember, guys, there is power in your plate, and what you eat, the food you eat, does make a huge difference. See you next time.